So today we will discuss about solid state. So we know that matter is classified in different forms, in different physical forms. They are solids, liquids, gases. And in addition to that, there are two more phases. What are they? Bose-Einstein condensate state, condensate and plasma. Whereas from here to here, what about temperature? Temperature increases. So Bose-Einstein condensate state existed very low temperatures, whereas the plasma state existed very high temperature. So coming to solids, right? These solids are basically classified into two forms: crystalline and amorphous forms. Crystalline form and amorphous form. Right? Crystalline form means the components or constituents which form such crystalline solids, they are arranged in a regular pattern. Right? So in crystalline substances there is regular arrangement of species. Maybe atoms or molecules. Or we may call it as ions also, right? If they are arranged regularly, we call them as crystalline substances. As their arrangement is regular, they have very sharp melting points and boiling points. So melting points and boiling points are very sharp, and they have a special property called anisotropy. Anisotropy. They exhibit a property called anisotropy. Isotropy means irrespective of direction, their physical properties remain same. So they are called as isotropic substances. Anisotropic substances means if I change direction, physical property changes. For example, if I change direction, the refractive index may change, right? Or if I change direction, the plane of reflecting angle may change. So anisotropy means, so if I change direction, physical properties will change. Right? Example for crystalline substances: diamond, sodium chloride crystals, right? So it is also a crystalline solid. So they should possess sharp melting point and boiling point. If I see melting point of sodium chloride, it is approximately 801 degrees centigrade. Right? Similarly, if we take boiling point, it is around 1465 degrees centigrade. Boiling point of sodium chloride is 1465 degrees centigrade. So, as it is crystalline, it has a sharp melting point and boiling point. So, exact melting point, exact boiling point. Coming to amorphous substances, there is no regular arrangement. There is no regular arrangement. Therefore, we don't have sharp melting point and boiling point. We will have a range of melting points and boiling points. That means from this range to this range, 300 to 400, 400 to 500, as such. So boiling point and melting point, we can give a range but not exact. And they exhibit a property called as isotropy. Isotropy means physical properties, some physical properties remain same in all directions. Right? Physical properties are same in all directions. Isotropy means some physical properties are same in all directions. This is called isotropy, right? Now, example of amorphous substances. Can I take glass?
Yes, sir.
Right? Glass is an amorphous substance, but actually glass is a super cooled liquid. Glass is super cooled liquid. Right?
Glass example of amorphous.
So glass is not a solid. It seems to be solid, but it is a super cooled liquid. Right? So amorphous forms. Coal is an amorphous form.
Graphite.
So coal is amorphous form. Graphite is again crystalline form. Graphite is having regular element, hexagonal layer structures, right? So one layer, second layer, there will be van der Waals interactions between layers, right? Buckminster fullerene is also crystalline form, right? Coal or lamp black. These are all amorphous forms of carbon, right? So these are amorphous forms of carbon. So these are the types of solids. In this chapter, we particularly concentrate about crystalline forms, right? So just copy that. I will observe. So we can take a glass also as an amorphous form. Glass also under the example of amorphous. Again, give me differences between crystalline and amorphous forms. They have crystalline forms means they have definite and regular geometry, and they are arranged in an orderly manner in three-dimensional space. Coming to amorphous substances, they don't have any regular arrangement, right? So they don't have different geometry. Crystalline substances have sharp melting points and boiling points. Whereas amorphous substances doesn't have any sharp melting and boiling points. Crystalline solid shows anisotropic property. That means if I change the direction, some physical properties change. Whereas amorphous substances, their physical properties remain same in all directions. Right? So crystalline substances, these are true solids. They are true solids. Whereas amorphous substances, we call them as pseudo-solids. We call them as pseudo-solids. Among crystalline solids and amorphous solids, which are rigid? Crystalline solids are rigid. Now what about rubber, eraser, plastic? What are they? So plastic is an example of amorphous substance. These are examples of amorphous substances. classification of crystalline substances. So in this chapter we particularly deal with crystalline substances. Should I rub this part?
Yes, sir. Solids.
No? These crystalline solids are again classified into different types based upon interactions. Based upon interactions between the components, means maybe atoms or molecules or ions. Based upon that, they are classified as ionic solids. Ionic solids means such crystals are made up of ions, cations and anions. So example of ionic solids: sodium chloride, potassium chloride, right, etc. These are examples of ionic solids. Now, they will have very high melting points and boiling points because interaction between cation and anion are high. So because of high interactions, they have high melting points and boiling points. Right? First one, ionic solids. They are made up of cations and anions. They have ionic interactions, or we also call them as electrostatic interactions. They are hard, brittle, and they are poor thermal and electrical conductors. Example: sodium chloride, potassium chloride, etc. Right? They are poor conductors of heat and electricity. They are hard. Brittleness means? Brittleness means if I apply pressure or if I apply force, they break into pieces. That is brittleness. Right? They are hard and brittle. Next, metallic solids. Metallic solids. Example of metallic solids. If we take iron rod, it is a metallic solid. Copper rod, metallic solid, etc. All such metals. Sodium metal. So they are made up of only one type of species. Right? Only one type of atoms. Now, what are the interactions between them? We call them as metallic interactions. Here, the interactions are called as ionic interactions or electrostatic interactions. They have electrostatic interactions between them. Electrostatic interactions between cations and anions. Whereas here, we call those interactions as metallic interactions. Now, what about their melting point and boiling points? Their melting points and boiling points are also high. Now what about their thermal conductance? Ionic solids are poor conductors of heat and electricity, whereas metallic solids are good conductors of heat and electricity. They are good conductors of heat and electricity. They are also hard, right? They also have high melting points and boiling points. Of course, there are soft metals as well as hard metals. If you take sodium, potassium, that is 1A group elements. They are soft. They are not as hard as iron. Right? Metallic interactions are weak. Based upon metallic interactions, their melting and boiling points do well. Right? So if metallic interactions are weak, melting point and boiling points are low. If metallic interactions are high, melting and boiling points are high. Right? Or simply we can say based upon the size of atoms, their melting points and boiling points do vary. Right? So melting points and boiling points will do vary based upon size of atom and metallic interactions. Based upon size of atom and metallic interactions. If the size of atom is high, melting point and boiling point will be low. If atomic size is high, then what happens? Interactions will be low, therefore melting and boiling points will be low. If the size of atom is small, generally melting and boiling point becomes high. Of course, based upon density also. Right? Next step. Covalent solids. Covalent solids. That means they have what type of interactions they do have? Covalent interaction. That means they have covalent bonds between them. Right? So covalent interactions. Example. Can you give any example for covalent solids? Solids with covalent bonds between them. Diamond. Diamond is a crystal with covalent bonds between them. Any other? Now, of course, graphite also. Except diamond and graphite. Give me something else. Anything which is having covalent bonds between them. Crystalline silicon, all non-metals which are in crystalline form, right? Crystalline form of sulfur, crystalline form of phosphorus, right? Any non-metals which are in crystalline form, they have covalent interactions between them, right? Silicon, right? Having only covalent bonds between them, right? Whereas silicon dioxide, SiO2 is also a gigantic polymer between silicon and oxygen. So if I take SiO2, silicon, bond oxygen, bond oxygen, bond oxygen, bond oxygen, tetrahedral, and each oxygen is again connected to silicon through covalent bond. Here also silicon, here also silicon, here also silicon. Now each silicon again forms 4 bonds, right? So here again oxygen, oxygen, oxygen. 4 oxygens overall. Here also this also with 4 oxygens. So it is a gigantic polymer. Now, here also this silicon is again attached to 3 more oxygens. Totally each oxygen is surrounded by 2 silicons and each silicon is surrounded by 4 oxygens. Can I say each oxygen is shared between 2 silicons?
Yes.
Now what is the share of this oxygen for each silicon? 1 oxygen is shared between 2 silicons. Then what is the share of each oxygen for each silicon? Half. How many such half parts? 4 halves. 4 halves means 2. So each silicon have half part of oxygen here, half part of oxygen, half part of oxygen, half part of oxygen. Overall 2 oxygen. That's why we write the formula as SiO2. But actually SiO2 exists as a gigantic covalent polymer. right? So silica or simply SiO2 is a gigantic polymer, similar to that of diamond. Right? Diamond is also a gigantic polymer. Tetrahedrally, all covalent bonded carbons are arranged in a tetrahedral manner. Right? So they have very high melting points and boiling points. As they are gigantic crystalline solids, they have very high melting points and boiling points. Gigantic covalent solids have very high melting points and boiling points, like diamond and silicon dioxide. What about their conductance? Electrical conductance and thermal conductance. Right? Because of covalent bonds, due to covalent bonds, their electrical conductance is poor. Right? Generally, they are poor conductors. Generally, they are poor conductors. Next type, molecular solids. Molecular solids. Generally, molecular solids have van der Waals interactions between them. They have van der Waals interactions between them. Maybe hydrogen bonding. Right? For example, if you take ice, ice is a crystal formed due to water molecules. Water molecules are arranged in a regular manner to form ice. Of course, ice have different crystalline forms based upon pressure and temperature. Right? So, ice. What about dry ice? What is dry ice? Dry ice is solid carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide molecules are arranged in a regular manner to form crystals. Right? So, as molecules are arranged in a regular manner, we call them as molecular solids. Molecules are arranged in a. Now, what about their melting points and boiling points? Low melting points and boiling points compared to them. Right? If you take ice, melting point is 0 degrees centigrade. Right, at STP conditions. So generally they have low melting points and boiling points. So these are types of crystalline solids. Again, I am repeating. Ionic solids means there are ionic interactions or electrostatic interactions between cations and anions. They are poor conductors of heat and electricity. They are hard and brittle. Example: sodium chloride, potassium, any cation and anion arranged in a regular manner. Metallic solids.
They have metallic
interactions.
They have
sharp melting and boiling. All crystalline solids all have sharp melting point and boiling point because all are crystalline solids. Right? They are good conductors of heat and electricity. They are hard, but based upon metallic interactions and based upon size, they may be soft, they may be hard. If you take 1A group metals, 1A group metals are soft compared to D block metals. Right? D block and F block metals are generally hard because they have small size. The size of metal atom is small, they are hard. They have high melting point and boiling point. And density is also high. If the size of metal atoms is high, generally they are soft relatively. and their melting and boiling points are low.
Low.
So melting and boiling points vary from low to high.
High.
Hardness also changes from softness to hardness. They may be soft, they may be. If you take sodium or cesium or rubidium, we can cut them with knife, right? They are soft. We can cut them with knife. Whereas iron and copper, they have high abrasiveness also. Or we can say abrasiveness means surface toughness, right? We cannot scratch the surface. That is called as abrasiveness. Of course, they are not as much as abrasive like silicon carbide. Silicon carbide is highly abrasive material, so we cannot scratch the surface. So they are hard as well as soft based upon the size of metal. Coming to covalent solids, they have covalent interactions. They may be soft or they may be hard, right? Generally, covalent solids are soft, but if they are gigantic covalent solids, then they are very hard. Then they have very high melting point and boiling points, right? Now coming to molecular solids, generally they have low melting point and boiling point. They have van der Waals interaction. For example, ice, etc. Any molecule. If you take any molecule, any gas on cooling, converts into liquid. If I cool further, converts into solid. So all such gases which convert into solids, they are all molecular solids. Right? For example, take sulfur dioxide gas. If I decrease the temperature, converts into liquid. If I further decrease temperature, converts into solid. Methane gas converts into liquid. If I decrease temperature further and apply pressure, then it converts into solids. Right? So this is about crystalline solids. How these crystalline solids are arranged? Crystalline solids means regular arrangement of atoms or ions, right?
Yes.
So we generally call such regular arrangement as lattice, right? Crystalline solids are arranged in a regular manner. Crystalline solids, they are arranged in a regular manner. So such a three-dimensional arrangement, we call that as lattice. If I arrange any points in a three-dimensional way in space, we call that as a space lattice. If imaginary points are arranged in space in a three-dimensional way, we call that as space lattice. Similarly, whereas if atoms or molecules or ions, if I arrange them in a three-dimensional manner, then we call that as crystalline lattice. Right? Those atoms or molecules or ions are called as lattice points. Right? So, what do you mean by space lattice?
Atoms are arranged in
arranged in a three-dimensional, in a regular manner, three-dimensional geometry. So that is called space lattice. So it is a regular three-dimensional arrangement of atoms, maybe molecules
or ions.
Atoms, molecules or ions, or maybe imaginary points also, right? If it is an imaginary point, we call it as space lattice. If they are not imaginary, if they are real, we call it as crystal lattice. So we call this as crystal lattice. If I arrange any imaginary points, then we call that as space lattice. So space lattice means any identical point